And we are back. Peace, love, and blessings, everyone. It's your bro, your brilliant engineer, and welcome to another installment of the STEM Files, the voice of STEM talent in Black culture. We do the best to highlight the best and brightest in science, technology, engineering, mathematics. On tonight's episode, we are building with brother Caleb Muhammad, the math god, with a background in industrial systems engineering, and is currently a math teacher. Tune in for more of this exciting episode where we talk about mathematics equals manhood after this, family.
You believe in these false prophets, I say I bet he lying. No football, New York City Giants. Girl dad, rest in peace to Kobe Bryant. When we teaching our babies, we teach them heavy science. Heavy science. Heavy science. When we teaching our women, we teach them heavy science. Heavy science. Heavy science. When we teach men, we teach them heavy.
Again, welcome back, everyone, to your Black is STEM podcast, Black is STEM platform, the STEM Files. Before we go any further, remember we are live, family, at the STEM Files on YouTube. Also, make sure to follow us at the STEM Files on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok. Follow us on Instagram at Tariq Cardiac and at Jabrilliant underscore engineer. My name is Jabril Muhammad, aka Jabrillion Engineer. I am a civilian mechanical engineer with a focus in naval ship fluid systems, and I have a background in material science and engineering, the study of the various material classes and how their different structures will impact certain applications, whether they're making something faster, stronger, lighter, more efficient, etc. I am typically always joined by my brother in righteousness, my business partner, brother Tariq Muhammad, aka Tariq Cardiac. He is a biomedical research scientist with a background in cardiovascular pathobiology, the study of how diseases form in the heart and blood vessels. Family, we are always excited to be here with you. I know I was talking to bro before we got on about how long it took for us to get him on the platform, but we know that all is done in God's time. So without further ado, I want to introduce to some and present to all my big bro, brother Khalid Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum, bro. How are you?
Oh, wa alaikum salam. Doing fine, brother Jabril, by Allah's grace and permission.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. Beautiful smile. We go along with a beautiful discussion. Family, we need you to tap into the comments. Come on, let us know how much you are enjoying tonight, how much you're excited about tonight. Ask any questions, and we're going to get right into it. So, bro, take your time. Please give us a brief introduction, who you are, your background, and how that's leading you to today.
Well, first, always, in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah who intervened in our affairs in the person of Master Fard Muhammad. I further bear witness that the most honorable Elijah Muhammad is indeed the exalted Christ. And I further bear witness to the man who signifies manhood today, the
Come on.
Messiah in our midst, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I greet you all. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, sir.
Brother, thank you so much, Brother Jabril and Brother Tariq, for this great platform to present to our people the highest form of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. And today, as your brother, I just want to give some of my testimony as one being an industrial and systems engineer with a particular concentration applied science engineering, which today has led me to become a mathematics teacher, teaching now some 10 years, geometry, algebra 1, algebra 2, pre-calculus, calculus 1, calculus 2. I've taught a little bit of it all, intermediate algebra. I've taught a little bit of it all, but all praise is due to Allah for the opportunity to be in the classroom of the gods and to be a math god myself.
Come on. And just like clockwork, we have our brother, the Black Math Academy, who is, I'm sure, going to ask some very beautiful questions. Brother runs a beautiful tutoring service with a very Black-centric way of looking at things. And he's one of our, I like to call, top fans and supporters. So thank you, bro, for tapping in with us. We're going to enjoy and have a good time. So we said a couple of things, and before we really get into breaking down some terms, I want to go into this, right? So the title for tonight's show is Mathematics Equals Manhood. Mathematics equals manhood. Now, when we think about that and we try to express it in an actual as an actual equation, you have mathematics, the actual equal sign, manhood. And equals is more than proportional to. Equals is actually that you could sub either side of the equation to the other side and you still have the same thing. So understanding that and really get into tonight's show, what does that title mean to you? How do you unpack that? How do you understand that? And what do you kind of hope or pray that our audience gets from your exegesis this evening as it pertains to that title?
Yes, sir. When I first got the title, it brought me back to 1994. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan did a man's only meeting in Houston. And in that meeting, he said this. He used the scripture, God is love. And he says, whenever you see the word is, it is indicative of an equal sign. So it means God equals love. And like you just said, that when an equal sign is used, it is given that on each side of that equal sign, those things are the same in proportion and in value. So we have in mathematics something called the reflexive property, meaning that if x equals y, then y equals x.
Come on.
So it doesn't particularly have to be the exact same thing on each side. However, the value should be the same.
Come on.
When you said mathematics equals manhood, well, we have to add it up. So mathematics, what does that give us? It gives us everything that is inside of our human existence. Inside of the problem book in the Supreme Wisdom, we're given in problem number 13 that mathematics is Islam.
Yes, sir.
So if we were to put these things together, just to go back for just a second, in my opening, I said that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is the extreme exponent of what manhood is today. And we see that just by his defense that we were able to receive of our brother Ye and our brother Kyrie Irving.
That's right.
Earlier this morning. When you say manhood equals mathematics and mathematics equals manhood, see, you can prove mathematics because you can add it up.
That's right.
At the end of the day, when something comes up short, you can always go back to the math to see where it occurred.
Come on.
As men, when we come up short, we can always go back and see the cause and the effect. So when you say mathematics equals manhood, see, we have not become the products of knowing and understanding mathematics in our daily lives. As a result, we're not able to see the cause and effect of why something has occurred, while it may occur again, and how to change those factors so it won't occur ever again if it is not a good thing for our lives. So we're going to go a little bit deeper into that today, but just know that when we say mathematics, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said in study guide number 21, the new educational paradigm, he says, when you are studying something, you are studying what is already inside of you. He says, mathematics, we are mathematics. He says, we are physics, we are chemistry, but to stay in line with our subject, we are mathematics.
That's right.
So today we're going to add it up, we're going to count it up, and at the end of it, we're going to see what it equals to.
Yes, sir. A couple of comments. I told you Black Math Academy was coming with it. So he says mathematics and manhood have their own equation, similar to profit equals revenue minus expenses. Revenue and expenses have their own way of calculating them. He goes on to say math and manhood have parts to combine to become what they are. I thought that was particularly important because there are constituents to that which make up math, that which make up manhood, to where, though, if you're deficient in any particular constituent or any particular aspect, then you have yet to arrive.
Hmm.
And if we're honest with ourselves, we are always striving to arrive to the math that makes up manhood. Because once we stop and we believe we've got it, the same way, if you turn back on the journey toward God, now you've officially lost it.
Mm.
It's once we think we've arrived that we've lost it. So beautiful, beautiful point. So let's go into the other aspect and try to do a bit of a marriage here. So here at the STEM Files, we really like to break down some terms. So in addition to being a current math god, right, current math teacher, if you will, you have a background in industrial systems engineering. So can you break down for us, what is industrial engineering, what is industrial systems engineering, and start to kind of lead us into how it relates to mathematics and any particular mathematic disciplines?
Beautiful. So the very clear definition of industrial and systems engineering is the integration of people and parts. See, an industrial and systems engineer, his job is most people know them as project engineers or
Right,
project
right.
managers. But an industrial and systems engineer is one that comes in and he sees the mechanical engineer. He sees the construction engineer. He sees the chemical engineer. And he pulls these people together. He sees all the materials that go into how you would build or construct a system. He pulls
Right.
all these people and these parts together in order to produce a final product. So I won't say that the industrial and systems engineer is the brain behind the operation, but he is the manager behind making things happen in that area.
So it's like, okay, every part in that system has a part to play, right? But
Facts.
if I'm a cook, or if I'm a baker, right, each of my ingredients on its own may be delicious and have value, can be made into a number of things. But it is now using the intellect and the expertise of my discipline to know how to bring said constituents and bring said ingredients together to make the cake, to make the pie, right? To
Absolutely.
make the entree or what have you. And where if I did not have that expertise, I would make something that was not only potentially nasty, but also potentially like shorten my life if I wasn't careful, right? So the beauty of that industrial systems engineer is to be able to see the parts in a system, whether it's a physical system on a lower level, like actual technology, or a system representative of people and processes, being able to bring that together to achieve an end. And I think a lot of times what we have to understand is the best engineer in this capacity would be one is how close to said end can I get with the resources that I have. And I think
Facts.
that points us to word problems. I think so. I'm a math tutor. I don't know if we ever talked about this. And one of the things that I've always found, and then you can maybe attest to this, is a lot of children, young people, this is black, brown, white, or whatever, struggle with word problems.
Absolutely.
And I think if we liken this to the process of really understanding what you have at the table, right? A lot of what makes a word problem hard is translation,
Absolutely.
being able to see a word and know that sum means add, difference
Absolutely.
means subtract, you know, more than means, okay, this is greater than by this much. And one of the things I try to have my students do, or tutees rather do, is slow down and really assess and break things down line by line. So as we kind of move forward, what are some of the math disciplines you found yourself using consistently as an industrial systems engineer, and how, let me see, I guess also like how, I guess, do you still use those readily in the disciplines you teach as well?
I think one of the major aspects of when you get into such a high level of mathematics, everything is done by computers at this point. However, you always have to be able to check the computer. I always tell my students that computers are stupid. They can only do what we tell them to do. So one of the things I did, I was a quality control engineer for a short period of time. And in that, most of the equations were linear equations. And people will say, well, when will I ever use y equals mx plus b?
Right.
I say you use it every single day when you want to know how much you're going to get paid at the end of the week. I say you don't know that that's a linear equation. You have your base salary. Right. If you work some overtime, that represents the coefficient in front of the x, your slope, and your y-intercept is the value that you would be given with the base rate. So, for example, those that work on commission, if you go to your job and you have y equals mx plus b, you go to your job, that b value will be whatever you make for the week. That would be your base rate. So let's say it's $500. They say, well, for every product that you sell, you'll get an additional $10.
Come on.
And if you want to know how much you made at the end of that week, that $10 represents your slope, your M. So 10 times that X value, how many products that you would sell that week, plus the $500 base salary will let you know how much you made at the end of the week.
Come on, Brother Khaled.
So if you have a goal for yourself that you want to make at the end of the week, you know how many products that you need to sell.
Break it down. That was beautiful. Yes, sir. Go ahead, beloved. I'm sorry. I'm just bearing witness.
Yes, sir. So, but that's a very useful tool that some of us cannot see. But as I said in the opening, learning the power of cause and effect.
Right.
That is a mathematical code that we as a people have to look further into. But we could go a little bit further into the program now.
Yes, sir. See some of these comments. Okay. The Black Math Academy, what a connection. Praise be to Allah. We also have Brother Alton. He said, break it down. Praise be to Allah. And here he is, the man of the hour, Brother Tariq. Yes, sir.
Assalamualaikum, family. How y'all doing?
Doing well. We just missed a beautiful breakdown of how the equation for slope and intercept form can be applied to knowing how much you're going to be making if you make commission pay. So it was actually very beautiful.
I'm not an engineer, so I would not be using that equation to figure out.
If you want to know how much you was about to get paid, you mess around and use it. Yes, sir.
Praise be to Allah, family. Well, I just want to first and foremost apologize for my tardiness. I am just getting off work, and I work as a first responder, so my hours kind of just all over the place. But I wanted to first and foremost greet the community. I'm Tariq Muhammad, aka Tariq Cardiac. I don't know if you did my intro yet, bro, but
I did. I did. Go ahead. Go crazy.
All right. Absolutely. Yes, sir. I am Tariq Muhammad, aka Tariq Cardiac, biomedical research scientist, concentration in cardiovascular pathobiology, which is the study of how diseases form in the heart and blood vessels. I'm a first responder and EMT paramedic. I am excited for tonight's show. I don't know what all was asked, but I was listening to the last 10 minutes of the show. Y'all doing that engineer talk, and it kind of was just like, all right, let me get on the show, put some little some life sciences up in there. But first of all, I want to thank you, Brother Kick, for the Colin, for joining the show, man. We called this episode Mathematics Equals Manhood, because us on the STEM files and anyone who really understands the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad understands that when you become a man, or when you're getting into manhood, you're actually starting to master mathematics. So we wanted to really just sit down with you, talk about your background in engineering, talk about your journey as a mathematics teacher. But I want to know, before we continue, and I'm not sure if you touched on this in the beginning, what made you go from systems and industrial engineering to teaching as a math teacher for MUI? But what was that transition like?
Repeat the last part of the question again.
What was the transition like, going from systems and an industrial engineer to teaching mathematics? What was that process like?
It was a very smooth transition. I always say to people, when I went to college, I became an engineer, but I really didn't know what I wanted to do. And I knew if I did anything else, I probably would have been bored. Like I couldn't have been like the guy that going to school and study liberal science or liberal studies. Like I couldn't have been that guy.
Got you.
I couldn't have been the guy to study Macbeth, and I couldn't have been that guy.
I feel you.
So the time that I spent in college had to be worthwhile. I knew that becoming a doctor was a little bit longer than I wanted to spend in college. So I knew I wouldn't become that.
Damn! Don't do us like that, man.
I know. I knew that I wouldn't become a lawyer because it required a little bit too much reading for me at the time. So when I went and settled down, I said, I think I could do engineering. How many years that's going to take? 4? All right, I could do that. And when I finished my degree in 4 years, I just was not ready and prepared to leave college. I didn't know what I really wanted to do. So I sat down with my engineering advisor and I asked her, what are my options? She said, well, you can pick up either a math major or a physics major. And I struggled through physics. I did well, but it wasn't something that I liked to do. So I said, you know what? I think I'll do a math major. And she said, well, it'll take you probably another 1.5 years to finish a math major if you did it. I said, well, how can I do it in 1 year? And she said these words, and I normally repeat this story to people. She said these words, it'll be probably impossible for you to finish in 1 year. And I said, well, I thank you very much. I left her office and I picked up a form to get a math degree. And 1 year later, when I walked across the stage, she said these words, I can't believe that you did it.
Wow.
And that's how I got my math degree afterwards. I always thought that I would retire and become a math teacher because I saw that representation did not exist in terms of math teachers as I went through my education from elementary all the way through high school and even collegiately. I didn't see Black male math teachers. However, as I went into the engineering world, I said, yeah, this isn't really for me. And when I got an opportunity, actually my first year teaching, I actually taught engineering K through 12 at a charter school. That's how I actually got into the teaching field.
Okay.
And then
Gotcha.
the door opened up at my former high school. They had a math position that opened, and then I applied, and we've been down that road ever since.
That's interesting because sometimes Allah has a way of showing us our true purpose while we're pursuing something else.
Absolutely.
Sometimes he does that, So I'm glad you were able to see the importance of Black male teachers, especially teaching mathematics to our children, especially because the teachers that they put in front of us to teach mathematics, it's no wonder anyone understands it. That's exactly. So I think he was able to show you, okay, what your true purpose is, even while you're thinking it's this. So let's talk about that. Blessed is one who finds his purpose in life. Talk about being able to be satisfied with what you're doing because this is your purpose.
Good question.
So the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan says, it has taught us that when we find our purpose in life, when we find what truly drives us, that gift that we have found the ultimate pleasure.
Right.
Becoming a mathematics teacher has shown me what I truly love to do. When a child and I'm a high school teacher, but when a child comes and they would say, oh, I'm not good at math.
Come on.
I love hearing that. Because
Yes,
I told them, I said, well, you've never had me before.
That's right.
Come on.
And as they go through the first month in my class, you see the transformation in their eyes, in their skin, in their posture, in their confidence, because we make gods.
Come on, go ahead.
That's right.
Go ahead.
So others would ask, well, what are you doing to make them feel such a way? I'm letting them know who they are.
Go ahead.
I'm teaching them of their origin. You know, the very first lesson that I teach in my geometry class is supreme wisdom. They don't know it's supreme wisdom. But first, I teach them the meaning of geometry. It breaks down into two words: geo, meaning the earth.
Right.
And metric or metric means to measure. And so geometry means one who can measure the earth.
Come on.
So I give them their heavenly home. The circumference of the planet Earth, 24,896 miles.
Come on.
The diameter, 7,926 miles. I go through the distance from the sun to the earth and what makes it spin at its terrific rate of 1,034 1/3 miles per hour. I go into weighing the land and the water of the earth, and they're so impressed by these actual facts.
Go ahead.
And I just tell them that any man that is trying to be a ruler must be able to take that ruler and measure their heavenly home.
That's right.
Good teaching.
That's right. Man.
Wow.
So just giving them just a little bit of Islam.
Just a little bit.
Makes them become masters versus before when they became slaves of the very education that they were receiving. And then after breaking them out of that mold, then they're fit to actually learn who they are. And they are mathematics.
That's right.
And that's how we make gods right inside of the classroom in the public school system.
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you man, that being slaves to your education, man, that is so loaded, you know, because I remember one time I was in the 6th grade, and sixth grade. I was trying to teach myself quadratic equations, right? And the reason I wanted to teach it myself, I don't know where it came from. I was just obsessed with quadratic equations. Like I wanted to teach myself this so bad. I don't know where it came from. And then we went to go to this book signing Dr. Ben Carson had in Harlem one time, right? And he mentioned something about quadratic equations. And as he was mentioning it, he talked about being able to rule, or being able to see education as a tool and not an obstacle, right? So I wanted to hear from you. You know, we're talking about being able to learn mathematics, being able to teach mathematics, but at what point does, or in your opinion, or have you seen in your work, where a student is not able to use it as a tool and it no longer consumes them? Can you give any instances or any testimonies or anything like that where a student was able to be like, okay, mathematics is no longer, an obstacle for me?
It happens after the first month of the school. I've at this point taught thousands of children, to the degree that children, after they leave my class, will come back once they go on to another level, and they would ask me, can you show me how to do this your way? Because I went to this and I am confused again. And I would go and take my time and my preps, and I would take the students in my lunch periods, and I would continue to teach them. But I've had many testimonies over the years of children that went from hating math to becoming math tutors, to becoming top of their classes, moving into other years, going and wanting to study engineering.
Yes, sir.
To study mathematics.
Yes, sir.
But all it took was a little bit of love and patience. One thing that I always tell my students, I say, I tell them, you know why math is so easy? They say, why? Because every math problem has an answer.
Come on.
Even if you don't know the answer, every math problem has an answer. So as a result, if I can teach you every single scenario in which you can solve a problem, there is no problem that you will be faced that you cannot solve.
Come on.
But one of the keys of my classes are that I give a lot of work. I'm not going to lie to you. And the students that they talk to their friends and they take my class, yo, you got to get his class. You got to get it. And I always tell them, I say, my class isn't a cakewalk. However, when you get into this class, you'll never know how much work that you're receiving until after you look back and you see what you've done. And as this first marking period is coming to a close and the students are looking at their grades and they say, man, I can't believe we did this much work in just 2 months. And I told them, I said, I told you it would be a lot of work. However, you grow with the work that I give you.
Right.
Very briefly, for those math teachers that may be on today, I have a certain system in which I teach. If I can't fit it on one side of the page, I don't give it to them in the beginning. I don't give quizzes that are multi-page in the first marking period that I teach my students. You see, when you are building a muscle, if you stretch the muscle too fast,
right, that's not
you
small.
can break that muscle.
Right.
If you're stretching a rubber band, there's an equation in engineering. The E equals KX, where K is the constant for stretching a spring.
Yes, sir.
And the energy that can be developed or found by stretching that spring, energy equals the coefficient K times X, which is the distance of stretching that spring. But if you stretch that spring or that rubber band too fast, the elasticity will make it snap if it is not pulled gradually. The same is with the minds of our children.
Right.
Their elasticity is not there. But if you stretch it properly, they'll be more flexible and nimble. By the end of the year, that you can produce a better spring, a better rubber band. And that's how I produce the students that I do in my class.
Wow. Hey, brother, and that goes right back into the title of tonight's episode, Mathematics Equals Manhood. And to become a man and the type of man that we want to be in the eyes of Allah, it has to be gradual. You can't put too much weight on a person that's developing. It has to be a slow, gradual, not easy process, but smooth process. There's going to be some bumps along the way. It may even hurt a little bit, but if you put too much weight or if you stretch the brother out too far, the brother could eventually collapse and veer away from the path. So I appreciate that, and that terminology, that engineering equation can be applied to anything, from education to even health, getting back on track with how to eat to live and losing weight and different things of that nature. All that has to come piece by piece, gradually, so thank you for that, beloved. We're at the 30-minute mark already. It's not 30 minutes for me, but it's definitely 30 minutes for y'all. We like to take this time to do our Black business highlight, final call highlight, and we'll go from there. Does that sound all right with everybody else?
Of course, yes, sir.
All right, let's get to it. All right, family, here's a sneak, well, not a sneak, here's a small commercial about the Final Call newspaper. Check it out.
Now you can get the same uncompromising truth you've come to expect from the Final Call newspaper on all your connected devices. Subscribe to the Final Call digital edition today. Go to subscribe.finalcalldigital.com.
Matter of fact, family, this episode is right on time. When we're talking about manhood, the Fruit of Islam just came off an historical weekend where over 5,000 registered Fruit of Islam came together in Chicago to hear from our beloved Minister Louis Farrakhan. So this week's edition of the Final Call, Brother Jabril, if you do the honors.
Absolutely.
Let me go ahead and put it up. But go ahead, bro. Go ahead and talk about it.
Oh, yes, sir. Absolutely. So, do you have it? Oh, you don't have it. Okay.
Yeah, there you
go. So, family, again, going off of what our dear brother was discussing, this week's edition, beautiful, beautiful edition of the Final Call newspaper, a message dedicated to the resurrection of the Black man and woman in America and the world. It's the classroom of the gods. How beautiful a title, considering the title and topic that we are discussing today. It says, cultivating the God within the Black man and unleashing his powerful, limitless potential is necessary as part of God's plan for his people. As Brother Tariq was discussing, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan invited the men of the Nation of Islam, the backbone of the Nation of Islam, the mighty Fruit of Islam, to Chicago to have a family meeting, I'll call it. A fireside chat with the Messiah, I'll call it. But it was much more than a fireside chat, which it was a spiritual revival where he talked to us and he explained to us what we need to do to really enliven ourselves and go back to really make our communities a safe and decent place to live, what we need to do for ourselves, our families, our women, and amongst each other to really grow into saviors and God. So, family, for your latest issue, please go to finalcalldigital.com for your digital subscription. Follow at Final Call Newspaper on all platforms. If you are in the Philadelphia area, if you're in the Richmond area, and if you are in Brother Khalid, where you at, beloved? Talk to the people.
Say it again.
So where you at, big bro? We got 3 people they can get the final call from.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me? Can you not hear me? Yes. So, well,
what city are you in, beloved?
I'm in Plainfield, New Jersey.
Yes, sir. Plainfield. So we got, if you're in Plainfield, New Jersey, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, or Richmond, Virginia, you can tap in with your brothers to get your physical edition of the Final Call newspaper, family. Until then, make sure you get your latest edition, the Classroom of the Gods, Final Call newspaper. Yes, sir.
Absolutely. And brother Khalid, I just wanted to get your thoughts personally. What was this experience like for you? How did it intensify your desire to do what you're currently doing in mathematics?
Man, brother, the minister is he's such a man.
Yes, sir.
I open by saying he is the epitome of manhood. My conviction, my love for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, it runs so deeply that there are times where I become frustrated, unhappy with seeing the results of the public school system. But knowing that I am a catalyst for change, I think of the love of my minister and why I must continue in the work that I do. So going to Chicago, it really is just like a refueling station.
Right.
I didn't think that I was on the road of quitting or giving up. However, if it was in me, the minister took it right up out of me. So I'm able to continue the work of the resurrection of our people. And they may not know, and I share from time to time, that I am a Muslim.
Right.
And I'm a Muslim follower of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. In fact, there's a quote inside of my classroom. He who prescribes the diameter of your thinking controls the circumference of your activity.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The minister is all over that.
That's right.
So I represent a part of the Nation of Islam to the children. And inshallah, one day, when they see the minister, when they see the Nation of Islam, they will remember their math teacher.
Come on.
Man, I remember someone that said that.
Right.
And I dropped those seeds. And as those seeds go into the earth of their souls and their minds, one day it will produce a fruit in Islam. Inshallah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hold on 1 second. So we're gonna get to some questions from the audience because
that's exactly what I wanted to do.
Right. It's loaded right now, especially from the Black Math Academy. But before we do that, I want to go ahead and do our Black business highlight before I forget. So, family, the STEM Files, we are big on promoting Black-owned businesses, whether they're STEM related or not. We want to see our people win.
That's right.
And whatever they're doing, especially in something that is good for our people. So today's Black business highlight is baby bean pie. Now, Brother Carlton and his wife, Sister Zakia, I've known Brother Carlton for quite some time now. I remember when he was here in Richmond, right before he registered and then moved to Oakland, California. I remember picking him up, bringing him to the mosque meeting, and he was just so full of a desire to do the work, and still is. He goes from, a young up-and-coming soldier in Richmond to now the student first officer in Oakland, California. It just in a matter of 3 years. So I wanted to just go ahead and shout out his business, Baby Bean Pie, with him and his wife, Sister Zakia. First and foremost, family, let's go ahead and define a business. A business is the practice of making one's living by engaging in commerce. So, brother and his wife have put together a company called Baby Bean Pie. Now, I know at first thought all you really hearing is bean pie, but what they've done is they've innovated the way you look at a bean pie. Right? They innovated the way you see a bean pie, the way it's sold, how it's presented to you overall. So I wanted to take some time to visit the link in our description, or if you're watching on Facebook in the caption, to really get to know what they're doing with Baby Bean Pie. They're setting the Bay Area on fire with what they're doing. And I just want us to support our people, especially Black youth. Brother Carlton, I want to say, how old was Brother Carlton? Maybe 26. He's a tad bit younger than I am, but brother is just killing it right now on the West Coast with him and his wife. Whenever they come back to Richmond, it's all love. I just love to see him doing the work. Matter of fact, his little brother is actually in processing right now. I took him under my wing to make sure that it becomes an FOI like his big brother. So, family, if you want to know more about Baby Bean Pie, definitely check it out. Like I said before, business is the practice of making one's living by engaging in commerce. So this beautiful couple is taking it upon themselves to make their living by engaging in commerce, which is the exchange of goods, and monetary value for goods. So we want to make sure that we support them, support any Black-owned business you can find. I don't care if they 2 hours away, support them. Support them as much as you can. All right, fam, let's get into these questions. Jabril, you want to start it off?
Yes, sir. So first and foremost, Black Math Academy, thank you for always being tapped in and then just being relentless with the questions. I do believe several of your questions, if you can correct me, or wrong have been answered just through our conversation, but there are a few that I definitely want to highlight. So first and foremost, and I think this is big. So our brother asked, what are the requirements to manhood, and how can math reinforce them?
Yes. Let's get into that.
So to be a man, the very first thing in becoming a man is the accepting of responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
The very first thing that a man has is his bachelorhood, meaning that you are by yourself.
Right.
There is no one cooking, no one cleaning, no one taking care of you. Because in finding how to take care of yourself, you then can take on a spouse, and finding the balance in that of having a spouse, which comes with responsibility. And in that, you learn love.
Right.
The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan teaches us that love is duty. Love is an action word.
Come on.
So in manhood, first we have bachelorhood, then we have marriage. And then the last aspect of manhood is fathering. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan also teaches us that to be a father means that you are furthering your own seed.
That's right.
Right.
So those aspects of family, we're taught that family is the cornerstone of nation building. Everything in the development of manhood is mathematics. Every step you are adding on to once was there, to another level, to another level, to another level, growing not just in manhood, but the steps of manhood is growing into God. So when the scripture says, ye are all God's children of the most high God, it's a sin to be below God.
Come on.
It's also a sin to try to be above him.
Come on.
But in us becoming men and taking on manhood, we become God.
That's right.
But only through our mathematical theology can we secure these things: money, luxury, good homes, and friendships in all walks of life. That's why we are taught that mathematics is Islam and Islam is mathematics. The goal of becoming a man is to find peace with your Lord.
That's right.
And in finding that peace, we find God and we become the very thing that we were searching for. So closing this point, Solomon says, he who leaves on the journey in the search of knowledge would never return. Because we know that one that searches for knowledge, knowledge is infinite. So the Quran says, if the seas with 7 seas added onto them were as ink and the trees were as pens, you could not exhaust the wisdom of Allah.
Come on.
So in our manhood training, we're growing to become God.
Absolutely.
Praise to Allah. May I add something? Not so much that you said it all. I just wanted to add just another thought and dovetail off of what you said. I was looking up a couple of definitions for mathematics to really drive it home, and one that came up as a simple definition is mathematics is the science and study of quality, structure, space, and change. Mathematicians seek out patterns, formulate new conjectures, and establish truth by rigorous deduction from appropriately chosen axioms and definitions. A man is one who is going to create and dominate his environment, but you cannot create and dominate your environment and you're not tied to reality. One of the things that a man must be so immersed in is the reality of his and his family's and his community and his nation's reality. And math helps you focus on that which is and is founded on truth and fact. There's no fairyland for the man. There is no alternative reality for the man. We live and exist and function in that which is real to produce that which is real. So the more we feed on mathematics and mathematical theology, the more equipped we will be to wheel and deal and be successful in the material world because we have a high spiritual conscience. So you said everything, beloved. I just praise be to Allah. And I pray, Black Math Academy, your question was answered sufficiently. And we're gonna keep it going through. This is beautiful.
Very, very beautiful. There's another question I saw him put up, has something to do with, I don't know if you touched on that yet. NASA, I believe. Hold up.
It was a comment, I think.
It was a comment. Okay, I see it. Yeah, it was a comment. Yes, okay. Did you put that up?
I did not put that up. I did not get a chance to put that up.
Okay. All right. Do you want to put it up? Because I don't know if it's.
I mean, we can just to touch on it real quick. So, there's a comment made earlier. So in Hidden Figures, Octavia Spencer played Dorothy Vaughan, whose team at NASA calculated trajectory and lift by hand. So when we were talking about physics and we were talking about just the, different equations, a brother was breaking them down. This is bringing up a situation where a lot of high-level science and math was literally calculated by hand. Chalk and chalkboard. Blunt force calculations from the human calculator, so it just goes back to brothers handle and name the math god. It was funny, before you got on, he was saying, well, the math doctor is taken. So
Shaheed, yes, sir. Brother Shaheed.
So I said, I'm trying this math god thing, and I thought it was beautiful because for those who may be religious or what have you, and why is he calling himself a god? Well, let's take a step back. God is just one possessing power and force. So there are several things. Now they could be false gods, but if anything possesses power and force over something else, it can be deemed a god. So for those of us who submit to money, submit to our sexual relationships, submit to our lower appetites, they become gods over us. So if I'm a math god, though, that means I exert power and force in a realm of reality that literally formulates the fabric of everything I see. So I'm constantly training and conditioning myself to be in tune with the law of cause and effect, rendering myself successful constantly. So now I can further, as bro was talking about, my family and be a good father and a good husband because I'm in tune with the law of cause and effect. I am becoming more at one with my mathematical theology. So, but that was a beautiful comment by the Black Math Academy.
Right. I got one more question before we go into the last two segments of the show. I wanted to ask you a personal question, really, and it's not too personal. It's definitely about the topic of the program. But how has your family, the brotherhood, your students, how have they seen you apply mathematics to your life where you are becoming better before their eyes?
That's
what are the changes that they have seen in knowing you for however long they've known you?
I always say one of the hardest and one of the greatest aspects of what I've done so far in my short life is opening the doors of Muhammad University of Islam in the state of New Jersey.
Yes, sir.
I served as the director of Muhammad University of Islam for 3 years. And in that 3 years of time, I got to see all that it takes to produce, create, and establish a means and a way of producing something not just for self, but for our community.
Right.
Many things in my life have come easy for me in terms of education, personal gain. However, stretching myself to the degree of opening Muhammad University of Islam, those that were around me got to see aspects of myself that they didn't know that I could do. And I did not know that I could do. And every step of the way, it was not me that was doing it. I was begging Allah for his help and his assistance because I did not have the answers. All I had was the love and the will to see a school for our children.
Yes, sir.
So I would say that those around me were and have been able to see me grow in that capacity and using my mathematical theology to build and to show that it can be done in our community and in our nation if we just have the will to get through the obstacle that may be in our path.
Yes, sir. Wow. I appreciate that, beloved. And I'm glad that you touched on obstacles being in our path, because a lot of us get discouraged from building because there may be something or someone in their way. And you use mathematics to move things out of the way. You know, mathematics is used to literally remove something or an obstacle out of the way that's keeping you from doing something, right? You know, so that's the whole beauty of solving something. Solving is pretty much like y'all was saying, it's one of the foundations of mathematics, being able to solve and answer, you know.
Right.
So, you know, what would you say to someone who is struggling with that obstacle? You know, our job is to meet and overcome. We have to meet them. We got to meet them. You know, that there's no getting around meeting them, but the overcoming part. What would you say to someone who is struggling with that aspect of just being able to, okay, we've met the problem, we understand what it is. How do we, you know, overcome it using that mathematics? Just you know, what would you just say to them if they came to you and be like, you know, Brother Kyle, I really don't know how to overcome?
Well, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that everything of value has a difficulty factor attached to it. The greater the difficulty, the greater the value. So when we are looking at and find ourselves in an obstacle, we must know that on the other side of that obstacle is great value. The value isn't in particular what we would gain from it financially, but what we would gain from it spiritually to help us gain something that would produce something for us in the future. He is preparing, God is preparing us for things that we don't see. That's why the scripture says faith is the evidence of things hoped for. No, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not yet seen.
Yes, sir.
So that's why the God says that he gives us faith, then knowledge. Then we get more knowledge, then more faith. Then after the faith comes more knowledge. But this stage after stage of our development allows us to become better and better human beings. So the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that if we want to just quit, we should have never been born.
Come on.
Come on. Come on.
This life that we have, this life that we possess is all about overcoming difficulty.
Yes, sir.
Right.
But the God, because we were born into this world, he saw fit that we could take on the pressure.
Mm.
The gravity, the 32 feet per second on each inch of our body, the 9.8 meters per second squared on each part of the gravity that a child is born into this world with, he does not succumb to the gravity.
Mm-hmm.
Because this perfect form, this human being, has the greatest potential inside of it to overcome all difficulties.
That's right.
So
Yes,
I would
sir.
say to that person, it doesn't matter what the obstacle or difficulty may be. As you continue to live and breathe, you have the opportunity to overcome it.
That's right.
The opportunity. Yes, sir. That's key right there. Allah's giving you another chance to make it right. Absolutely. Yes, sir. Well, family, this has been another edition of the STEM Files where we show you the majesty of Black people in science and technology, engineering, and mathematics.
Yes, sir.
The nation building activity. So we want to thank you, Brother Khalid. As we close out, there are two segments we really want to get into. It's the social media tap-in, and then the STEM File speed round, and then we're pretty much closing out the show. So we pull from your social media to kind of get a story about the picture that we. Say that again.
You said my social media?
Yes, sir. Your Instagram page, and it's related to the episode. We wanted we wanted the audience to see you. No, I already have it. It's just something that we like to show the audience or get some feedback on. What was going on in his pictures, and so something like that. All right. So here we have. I think you are doing experiments with different types of minerals, I believe. Like what's going on here?
So this was an experiment I did with my classes to teach them about exponents, actually.
Okay.
But I was teaching them about density of different liquids and how viscosity, the thickness of a liquid, would actually show you how dense an object may be. So I gave them, I took a pebble and dropped it in a few different viscous materials, one being the least dense, water, another being a little more dense than the water, oil, and the most viscous of the three, which is syrup. And the equation for density is density equals mass over volume. So when teaching them about exponents, if they want to find how dense an object is, if the mass of that object was, let's say, 10 to the 5th power, and the volume was 10 to the 3rd power, you would use the quotient rule in finding for exponents. So 10 to the 5th divided by 10 to the 3rd, you would subtract its exponents, 5 minus 3.
3. Yes, sir.
10 to the 60 power. So I just gave them a real life scenario of how they would actually use the density formula in real life and using mathematics at the same time. So that's some science in there, Brother Tariq.
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Always good to have the S in a STEM one display. You know,
Yes, and that's material science to make it exact. You know.
Of course it is, beloved. Of course. All right, praise be to Allah. All right, family. So we're coming up on the end of the show. We're about an hour and 5 minutes in. We don't like to, belabor the hour. We're all about making sure that the science, that in the engineering and the tech, just the STEM activity that people receive tonight is short and it's digestible. Let's put it that way. So right now we're going to do something called a speed round, right? The speed round is lightning quick. You got 3 seconds to answer each question. If you can't answer the question, you got to move on to move on to the next question. This is just something we like to do to get to know our guests outside the topic. All the questions are appropriate, nothing's too personal. So is that something you're willing to go for, Brother Khalid? Can you hear me, sir?
The sound broke up for a second. I couldn't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
All right, praise be to Allah. You ready for the speed round?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's get it. All right, Jabril, you got the questions up?
Yes, sir. I'm ready to go. All right, here we go. The first thing you do or think of when you wake up?
Prayer.
Go ahead.
All right. Hot or cold?
Hot.
Walking or jogging?
Jogging.
Professional work or volunteer work?
Professional work.
Okay.
Favorite pair of shoes of all time?
Nike Vapor Maxes.
Woo.
Heard they're comfortable.
Yes, sir.
iPhone or Android?
iPhone.
Okay. Favorite thing to cook?
Salmon stir fry.
That sounds. We might have to come over to Khalid's house.
Yeah, right.
Favorite song of all time?
I don't know if I can say that online.
Oh man, beloved.
Second favorite song of all time.
Right. We good.
I'm a Lil Wayne fan. I love Lil Wayne, man.
Okay. All right. Yes, sir. We keep it pushing. Youth engagement or raising money for your nonprofit?
Say it again. You broke up.
Yes, sir. Youth engagement or raising money for a nonprofit?
You say youth engagement?
Yes, sir.
Youth engagement.
Yes, sir.
Excellent.
The worst job you've ever had?
I was a lifeguard.
Wow. That was bad. That was a bad job?
It was just a little boring.
Yeah.
Watching people waiting for somebody to drown or try a hard time in the water.
In that order.
I can imagine.
Yes, sir. Okay. So here we go. If you were stuck on an island for a year, you can only listen to 3 albums. What would they be?
Carter 4. Definitely Drake. We'll go with I can see the album covers, but I can't think of it right now.
Okay.
Definitely
any
Drake album.
Yeah, any Drake album would do, really.
Nothing was the same.
Okay.
Nothing was the same, and dang, my brother Rob, if he was on, he'd be like, "Brother, you failing me right now."
I think he was in the
He was in the chat.
But yeah, definitely.
Rob.
Yeah, you throw in any Drake albums minus his new stuff.
Okay, yes, sir. Here we go. If you could meet any scientist from the past, who would it be and why?
And that goes back to a question that brother had in the comment section about who your favorite, if you had a favorite mathematician at all.
Hey, in all honesty, you said living or not living?
It could be present, it could be past. Yes, sir. Living or not living.
Man, I want to be one of the 24 scientists.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I would love to sit down with them.
Praise be to Allah.
Praise be to Allah.
Okay. Hey, so if you weren't a math teacher, what would you be?
Probably be an engineer.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I just went, yes, sir. Of course, of course. All right, here you
Hold on,
go.
hold on. Hold on. Let's spice up that answer. You can't. It can't be something you already were. So you got to give
Got
something
you.
else.
Okay. All right, okay. All right.
I'd probably be a superintendent of schools.
Okay.
Does that count?
Good. Yeah, that
Yes,
counts.
sir.
That definitely counts. Yes, sir.
Okay,
Bet.
all right, so here you go. My name is Brother Khalid Muhammad, and I am
A math god.
a math god.
Yes,
That's like
sir.
a hook for a song. I like
I
that.
know, right?
I like
Math
that.
God.
Yes, sir.
Praise
Praise
be
be
to
to
Allah.
Allah.
Well, family, once again, we strive to bring you the best, the very best in our communities, black and brown, that we have that represent science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And we did it again this week with Brother Khalid Muhammad, math teacher, former industrial engineer. And man, I'm telling you, we tell this to all our guests, really. This platform is yours, beloved.
That's right.
Anytime you want to talk about mathematics, you want to talk about engineering, you got something going on related in STEM and you want to talk about it, this is the platform. And for those who are watching, this is not a Nation of Islam platform. This is not exclusive to members of the Nation of Islam. It's exclusive to every black and brown person who is doing amazing and great work in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So, family, if you would like to check out more of our content or want to get to know more about myself, Jabril, visit us on our social media pages at Tariq Cardiac, at Jabril_engineer. Follow us at the STEM Files on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. Family, we have a plethora of content. We've been on YouTube for 4 years now. The STEM Files in total is 6 years.
Yes, sir.
And we've interviewed just about every type of scientist, engineer you can think of. We've really had no limit on this program. So we've interviewed scientists that work for the government. We've interviewed scientists that do things in their house, in universities, the whole nine. So if there's anything you've ever wanted to know about anything in science and technology, engineering, or mathematics, this is the program to come to, okay? All right, family. Jabril, you had anything you wanted to add?
Um, I'm laughing at Brother Anthony.
He said
The
Drake.
of the Al Kabir squad coming out of 135 in Delaware. He I guess he has some strong feelings about Drake. He is one of the brothers I talk a lot about music. So praise be to Allah. But
Yes,
family, I thank you all again. This platform does not exist without the audience, without the people that we bring on. It's an honor and just very humbling to be able to facilitate these types of conversations. I mean, I don't take it for granted. And we are striving to continue to deliver this to you all weekly so that we can do something and fill a niche that if we can inspire someone to do something for self, whether it's
right.
in STEM or not, just understanding that STEM is all around you, right? That mentality, that methodology, that way of approaching life is always present.
That's
So
right.
even if you're not in the quote unquote hard science, you can still apply that thinking to your life and be successful. And yes, sir, big bro, brother Malik, we're going to get you on. We're going to get you on here to talk about what you do in STEM as well. We have not forgotten about you, big bro. Another, I'll call him top fan of ours and supporter of ours when it comes to just sharing the content, building with us on the platform. So we really appreciate you all, family, and just very thankful for all your support.
Absolutely. And family, for those, who are constant supporters of the STEM Files, as brother just mentioned, both of us, Jabril and myself, will be joining several social media influencers, nation builders, thought provokers, think masters, whatever you want to call it. We'll be joining several of our family members in Houston, Texas this weekend to talk about the Joshua generation. Our time is now. And it's a talk show that is premiering during the rededication of Muhammad's Mosque number 45 in Houston, Texas. And Jabril and I, we're going to be really talking about, we're representing science and technology, but really just talking about nation building. So when information becomes available on how everyone can watch live, we'll definitely make sure that it is shared on all of our social media platforms. All right, family. So definitely check us out on there. All right, family. For those who are watching, this has been another edition of the STEM Files. Brother Caleb, any closing words?
And I just thank you, brothers, for this opportunity. And this is a beautiful platform to see Black and brown people just come together and not talk about foolishness, but to talk about God's work. This is God's work, producing a future for our children and having these conversations at a high vibrational rate. And I just thank you for just presenting this platform and having this for our children and for our people to see. So thank you, brothers, for the opportunity.
All praises due to Allah. Yes, sir. Absolutely, family. Well, once again, Jabreen Engineer, Tariq Cardiac, the math god, Brother Khalid Muhammad. Thank you for tuning in, family. Peace and blessings. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Believe in these false prophets, I say I bet he lying. No football, New York City Giants. Girl dad, rest in peace to Kobe Bryant. When we teaching our babies, we teach them heavy science. Heavy science. Heavy science. When we teaching our women, we teach them heavy science. Heavy science. Heavy science. When we teach men, we teach them heavy